I, 28 female, have a teen niece. She's my only sister's only child. 2 years ago, I married a very wealthy man, 34, and because of the global issue, last Christmas was my first with my in-laws. My mother-in-law gifted me a coat that's worth more than $20,000. I saw her wearing it, asked her where she bought it, and she said that would be my Christmas gift from her. Edit, my coat was bought new, just identical to my mother-in-law's. I didn't know how much it was. I knew it was expensive, but I thought maybe $3,000 at most. I was visiting my sister last January when my niece saw it. She Googled the brand and showed me how much it was. I won't lie, I didn't wear it after that because I was afraid of ruining it. Last week I wore it while visiting my sister. While I was putting it back on to leave, I felt something splat on my back. Then my niece started cackling and the paint smell hit me. I was so angry that she was not apologetic at all. Instead, her mom screamed at her and said she was grounded. Then she said she would pay for the dry cleaning. While I was in my car, still in shock by the way, I got an alert that my niece posted a reel. It was her doing a prank on me and she said, "I'm going to hit my aunt's $20,000 coat with a paint-filled balloon to see how she reacts." I saved it on my phone, sent it to her mom, and said that her week's grounding wasn't enough. She didn't reply, but I saw that my niece had taken it down. It got less than 5 views by then. The next day I found out my coat could not be saved, so I called my sister and told her that her daughter had to pay it back. Well, we got into an argument, and she said they would not be paying for it, and if I wanted a new one, I should get my husband to buy it for me. I think that they should pay for it. They can afford to, in my opinion. They should sell my niece's car and pay me back my money. We did not reach an agreement, so I told her that I would be suing and reminded her that I have video evidence that her daughter A. did it on purpose for online clout and B. knew exactly how expensive it was. Unfortunately, people in my life are not objective at all. I have some calling me an idiot, some saying they are the idiots for not buying me a new one, and some so obsessed with the coat price that they're calling me an idiot for simply owning it and wanting a new one. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is a perfect way for your niece to learn that actions have consequences and hopefully will serve her well when she's older. And it sounds like your sister needs that lesson too. Just have your husband buy you a new one is not an appropriate reaction to your kid destroying a $20,000 item. A week's grounding? I'm sorry, a week's grounding isn't enough. The mother isn't taking this seriously, so why should the niece? If I'd done something like this, my parents would have gone nuts. The niece should sell her car and cough up the money. The niece is old enough to know better. Tell your sister either she comes up with the money or you take it to the cops. I wonder if a police report will force the insurance company to come up with the money. This wasn't an accident. It was intentional and she won't do it again. This reminds me of the idiots gluing themselves to paintings to fight climate change. Sue them. I don't care if the coat was $10. She ruined a $20,000 coat for a prank video. She wasn't even apologetic. When you call the lawyer, ask him to help you go to the police station and press charges on the attention-seeking niece. Ask the lawyer to notify you when your niece will be arrested. Go film it and put it on social media. Maybe then she and her parents will learn that if you deliberately destroy someone's property, you replace it. 100% this. Putting a whoopee cushion on someone's chair is a prank. Destroying their $20,000 coat is criminal damage. I point that out to your sister, OP. Tell her that she can sell her car and pay up, or you'll be pressing charges. That's 10 times worse than suing because it'll stick to her like whatever it was that she threw at your coat. Play stupid games and win stupid prizes. In this case, a $20,000 debt. I have 3 children, a teen, a tween, and a toddler. My partner, 28 female, and I, 35 male, have been together for 10 years. She raises my kids and we have 50-50 custody of the 2 eldest. Nearly 4 years ago we had a rough patch and a one-night stand is what led to my youngest being born. We've got full custody, but my wife is all she knows as her mother. All children call my wife their mum. She's a great parent. She's got the eldest into gymnastics and swimming. She does their homework with them and they're really close. It's nice to see. It's hard to explain exactly how she's a good parent. She just is. We found out we were expecting 8 months ago and this caused our youngest to start acting out. Nursery teachers told us it was completely normal for young children to regress when big news happens. 7 months into our pregnancy, we lost the baby. It upset me, but it's completely devastated my wife. She acts like everything's normal, but she's crying herself to sleep. I don't have the emotional bandwidth anymore. I'm exhausted. We just lost a child, not just her. I'd been trying to get ready for work while my wife got the youngest ready, and I guess we were having a rough morning because I heard my youngest say to my wife, "You're not my mom, you don't love me." Obviously not exact wordings. It's not the first time she's told my wife this. We don't even know how the youngest knows this. I went to work. When I came back, the eldest told us that my wife had dropped the youngest off at nursery and then locked herself in our room, apparently crying for a few hours, then left. I messaged her and was told, "Thanks for helping me this morning. I'm staying at my mother's. I'm not in the mood to help with your child since you don't help me tell her I'm her mother." I think my youngest deserves to know her background. We've tried to explain to her about a stepmother, etc., but she's young. She'll understand when she's older. I explained to my wife that I had work. She's handled it before, but I've been left on red. I apologized and didn't realize she was so unhappy, but said at the end of the day, youngest lost her sibling too, and it's been a difficult transition. We're looking into family counseling. I did say I'd appreciate her not having the eldest witness her being this upset next time, as she's still a child. It was a casual morning. She usually handles getting them ready, and we've had issues like this before that she's handled. But sometimes hearing things like this has become white noise because I know my wife can handle it when I've got to work. I say not to be as upset in front of my eldest daughter because the eldest went to her biological mum and told her she was worried about her mum, my wife, which I don't think is fair. Am I the idiot? Downplaying your cheating, downplaying your wife's trauma, and blaming her for not being entirely composed after she had a late-term loss? Have you always been so selfish and neglectful? Your wife is so obviously struggling with a serious depressive crisis, and you're just completely neglecting that. I'm wondering about all your other delightful behaviors. Yes, you are the idiot. He doesn't have the emotional bandwidth anymore. What a selfish putz. And I'm sorry, a loss is hard on both parents and both parents grieve, but a mother's grief is different. I understand that this may not be the case for every couple, but since OP thinks that a toddler who couldn't fully grasp what was happening is suffering as much as his wife, who cries daily, I sincerely doubt he is an exception. Agreed, even the teen daughter and the ex-wife seem more concerned about her than he is, but probably because the ex understands he was also a 25-year-old dating an 18-year-old. That alone just says a lot about him. I hope she never comes back from her mother's. You're a disaster and really need to get yourself together. Not only that, but he already had 2 kids when he scooped her up at a fresh 18, had her raise his kids, cheated on her, and had a 3rd kid with another woman. She's raising that one too. Now, 10 years in, she's lost her first biological child, and he's telling her to be quiet about it so that the rest of his kids that she's still raising don't get upset. Wow. Damn, dude, this is some next-level idiotry. You should be kissing your wife's damn feet every night out of gratitude that she didn't leave your sorry butt to be a single parent to 3 kids. Instead, I recommend counseling for you and the kids and a divorce attorney for her. I'm 45 female, a mom to 3 children. My daughter Eden is 20, almost 21, and my sons are 18 and a mid-teen. Eden is an incredibly bright girl. I'm so proud of her. She's in school full-time in the Honour Society, and she has a 3.8 GPA. She's about to graduate with her BA a year early, and she plans to go back to school for either another BA or her Masters. Starting in June, she ended up in and out of the ER a few times. Her last visit there was in August. She was having some abdominal pain, she could hardly keep anything down, and she would faint too. She was exhausted 24/7, and she barely did anything other than sleep and study. The doctors have been running all sorts of tests to figure out what was wrong, but everything has come back completely normal. They ran some more extensive tests a while ago, and today she had an appointment to talk to the doctor about the results. She called me after the appointment and told me that the doctor told her they thought she had functional abdominal pain and that she would work with them on ways to treat it. I asked her to explain to me what that was, and it more or less boiled down to her stressing herself out so badly that her body physically hurt. Eden has always been a worrier. She panics about everything, only for it to turn out just fine in the end. She overthinks all the time. So I told her that if she didn't like feeling so awful all of the time, she needed to get out of her own head and try not to worry 24/7. She got upset and told me that it wasn't just something in her head, that was causing her physical issues, and that it would take more than just trying not to worry about things to make it stop. I said that if being anxious was making her have fainting episodes, bouts of exhaustion and nausea, then it was something that was in her head, and the way to solve it would be to stop overthinking all the time. Eden said she didn't want to talk about it anymore because she wasn't feeling well, and she just wanted to go home and sleep. She ended up texting me when she got home and saying that she wished I wasn't so dismissive of her problems, and that my saying that it was just in her head upset her. I replied back saying that just because it's upsetting doesn't mean that it isn't true. She hasn't responded since. Am I being too insensitive with this? I mean, the problem really is that she's stuck in her own head too much. Does it make me an idiot to tell her that? Oh wow, you told her not to worry. What excellent advice. I'm sure she never thought to do that before. You are the idiot. Get some damn empathy. She's probably anxious all the time because of her childhood. Stop minimizing her and be supportive. In a world where women are constantly told, it's all in your head, go take an aspirin and a nap, you should be advocating for her, not browbeating her. Women are constantly in the news for being ignored or downplayed by their doctors and family until suddenly you have stage 4 cancer. Sorry we ignored you and didn't take you seriously sooner. You have X amount of time to live. Call your daughter and apologize immediately. And tell her she doesn't need to keep working herself to the point of risking a hospital stay. Tell her you are proud of her. I recently got into a car accident. I totally acknowledge I was at fault. My car was a total loss and the person I hit had a lot of scratches and a bump but was able to drive. My car was a Prius and she had a much larger truck. She had 3 young kids with her and was really hesitant to call the police during the accident and asked if I could cover the damage out of pocket. To be honest, I was kind of tempted to because no one likes dealing with insurance premium increases after an accident, but I don't know how laws and stuff work, so I felt it would have been safer just to call the police and get an accident report. After we called the police, they asked for our license, registration, etc. It turns out the woman was driving without a license, which is illegal in my state. She was using her husband's car. He had insurance on the car, so we exchanged info. The police also told me she was getting cited for driving without a license with 3 young kids in the car. The police left us both with driver exchange forms with each other's contact info and insurance info. Obviously, everyone was unhappy with the situation and I had to go car shopping, which wasn't fun given the price of used cars right now. Anyways, this happened about 2 weeks ago. I got a call today from the woman's husband telling me that insurance refused to pay out because he had knowingly permitted someone unlicensed to drive his vehicle. Additionally, they were heavily fined and charged with a misdemeanor. They were apparently very low income and this would affect them and their kids. He asked me to help him fight with insurance and for assistance with court costs since I was at fault in the accident and no one would have found out if I hadn't caused the accident. I told him to please not contact me and to let our insurance handle it as I don't really know anything about these things. He yelled at me for not taking responsibility and ruining his family. I feel bad, but I also feel like I took responsibility for causing the accident. I'm not asking for legal advice, but am I the idiot for not helping them out of pocket for their damages after causing the accident? Not the idiot. You took responsibility for the crash and it can affect your insurance premium, probably, but that's where your responsibilities end. You're in no way responsible for their mess up. Sure, this wouldn't have happened if you hadn't crashed into them, but they also wouldn't be out of luck if the wife wasn't driving in the first place, not to mention the accident wouldn't have even happened. Crazy level of entitlement on their part to think that you're responsible for their mistake. You open yourself up to a world of issues by trying to settle claims privately, and even more by opening up dialogue with another party when there are pending legal issues happening. Call your adjuster, have them document the issue, and do not answer the phone for them again. Keep in mind, this guy was most likely denied by his own insurance company attempting to file a collision claim. It doesn't sound like it's necessarily your insurance attempting to deny the claim. Regardless, there is a legal process that will play out. His wife ruined his family by breaking the law. He ruined his family by not having insurance. All you did was cause a few scratches. You were a responsible adult who paid their insurance and didn't commit misdemeanors. Also, calling the police to get an accident report is absolutely the right action every time. Not having insurance or a valid license is not your problem. They're mad at you for not committing a crime to cover up for them committing a crime, driving without a license. My ex was hospitalized after an accident. His family called me and asked me to bring my son to see him as they thought he would want to see him when he woke up. My son is only a toddler and I didn't want him to be traumatized by seeing his dad in a bad state. So I decided to go see him myself first. When I arrived, his family was upset that I hadn't brought my son with me, but seeing my ex like that was hard for me and I don't exactly have fond feelings for him, so I didn't think it was a good idea for my son to visit until he was out of the hospital. I told his family I wouldn't bring my son, hoping they would understand, but they were all angry with me for not thinking about what my ex wanted. My ex's mother, who I've remained close to since we separated, told me I was a selfish woman and a bad wife. I'm trying not to let what they said get to me since emotions were running high, but now my ex has asked me directly to bring our son and I said no, which has caused his family to be angry at me all over again, even though he's going to go home soon, and I said I would bring him to visit once he's at home. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. What are you considering a bad state that would traumatize your child? Does your ex have a broken leg, third-degree burns, or what? Everything is not equivalent in terms of scariness to a kid. The fact that you say he's going home soon suggests things aren't that serious. My kids visited people in the hospital when they were small, and I tried to impress them that a hospital is a place where doctors and nurses care for you to help you get better. It's not a scary place. Disagree. When I was 3, my dad was in a terrible motorcycle accident. My grandparents took my siblings and me to see him in the hospital, and nearly 60 years later, I still remember how upsetting it was to see him looking like that. His face was a raw hamburger, and the whites of his eyes were solidly red, so he looked like a demon to me. I remember that most. No small child should have to see their daddy looking like that. It's my earliest memory. Not the idiot. I was in the same situation with a toddler visiting their injured father in the hospital. It went poorly, and my child was stressed and upset for days and suffered night terrors afterward. Furthermore, why does the child need to go to the hospital? There isn't any reason. The father and his family think more about their feelings than the child. They're the ones being selfish, quite honestly. They can wait a few more days until they go home for the child to visit in a more comfortable, less infectious environment.